there whenever he launched a new public health project, or talked about his work, or recruited students, or did anything to promote the public health issue. Now I want to describe two areas of Bill's work that were lifetime activities for him. The first was his activities related to the Tuskegee syphilis study, for which he was well known. The second, he would say, was probably his more important contribution to public health, which was expanding the public health workforce in epi and biostat, and later to include all of the public health disciplines, and his very special way he developed mentoring. Bill began his career as one of the youngest African Americans to join the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps in 1967. He first served as a statistician at the National Center for Health Statistics. This was within a year after he graduated from college. He was a biostatistician by day, and after hours, a radical activist. He really thought the revolution was coming. And that combination eventually led him to become the first equal opportunity employment officer for NCHS. And while part of what he did as an employment officer was to insist that the agency develop a better upward mobility path for African American and other non-science workers stuck in low-wage jobs. He insisted to the point where he even went on a hunger strike until the agency acquiesced. You know, it was the 60s, they put it up with people's demands, and he was successful. It was during that time, and I think as a result of his insistence, that he first learned about the infamous Tuskegee study, because another NCHS colleague familiar with his tenacity and radical tactics handed him some publications and asked him to read them. It didn't give any commentary. He just said, I want you to think about these papers. The publications provided findings from a federal government study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male, men who resided in Macon County, Alabama, where Tuskegee is the county seat. This was probably around 1969 when he first saw these papers. As you may recall, in 1932, the Public Health Service began a study to record the natural history of syphilis among these men in hopes of justifying a treatment program for blacks. This was prior to penicillin. Although originally projected to last just 6 months, just to document evidence of the complications of syphilis, the study actually went on for 40 years. The researchers explored what unchecked syphilis would do to the human body. At the time, there was no precedent for an informal consent or informed consent process, and the men were not told ever that they had syphilis. The researchers made sure no subjects would seek care anywhere else but under their guidance, even when they moved to other places or entered the military. Bill was troubled by the ethics of the situation and spoke to his supervisor. Don't worry about it, his supervisor told him. Later, he found out that the supervisor was one of the scientists involved in documenting the study. But he went on to discuss the publications with other black colleagues with whom he ran an underground newspaper for black government workers. And they decided to write an article about the study for their newspaper. The group also sent copies of publications to other African American doctors and to a few reporters, hoping to get people interested in thinking about the ethical issues related to the study. But they also did not include any background material or explanatory information or explain their concern about the study, and the news media did not pick up on the story. He was deeply disappointed that he could not get anyone to pay attention. Eventually, another public health service epidemiologist, Peter Buxton, gave the information to the Associated Press a few years later. The AP article appeared on the front page of the New York Times and elsewhere and shocked the nation. The study was soon halted, and Bill was always very happy with Peter's success. In the summer of 1973, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of the study participants and their family. And what you can't see in the slide, I don't know why, the larger picture is a picture of one of the study participants and Fred Gray, the lawyer who filed the suit on behalf of the families of Tuskegee. A $10 million out-of-court settlement was reached, and as part of the settlement, the U.S. government promised to give lifetime medical benefits and burial services to all living participants. The Tuskegee Health Benefit Program was established to provide these services. Almost 30 years after attempting to stop the study, Bill was appointed the manager of this Tuskegee Participant Health Benefit Program at the CDC. He expanded the services to provide support to all of its ascendants of the men. And in 1997, he told the Times, "What they deserve is the best medical care we can provide. I try to give them the care that I would want to give to my mother." And in doing so, he was able to do wraparound services that included social work, nurse visitations, anything and everything to make sure all the family members remained healthy and nutritiously cared for. So he finally got to serve the men enrolled in the Tuskegee study and their families, and then he took a step closer to his attempt to help families from 30 years previously. He and some other African-American colleagues at CDC informally discussed the need for CDC to officially apologize for the study. He organized an external group that included Fred Gray, the original lawyer who filed suit for the men, and Vanessa Wellington Gamble, a medical historian and ethicist who actually spoke earlier today, who had chaired a committee, outside committee, to pressure CDC for an apology. David Satcher was director of CDC at the time and an obvious sympathizer. And so he took the request to Washington to inform the White House that this was probably going to happen, and Satcher would apologize for the study on behalf of CDC, the originators of the study, and the keeper of the study. The White House decided that President Clinton would make the apology. So there was quite an organized effort to get all of the remaining men and family members to the White House. And on May 16, 1997, President Clinton spoke these words to the men and their families. And I won't read it out verbatim, but essentially he acknowledged that the United States had done something deeply and morally wrong, and it was an outrage. As you see, he said, "No power on earth can give you back the lives lost, the pain suffered, the years of eternal torment and anguish. What was done cannot be undone." In addition, the president announced that he would build a lasting memorial at Tuskegee by establishing a Center for Bioethics in Research and Healthcare, and among other things, providing postgraduate fellowships to train bioethicists, especially among African Americans and other minority groups. And those activities became part of what Bill managed at CDC along with the other staff. He felt the families were finally vindicated and their dignity was restored. Every year, the Tuskegee Participant Health Benefits Program participates with Tuskegee University in a celebration of the role that they made to change the conduct of human subject research. So, I urge you, oh, and I forgot to mention, and later, several years later, he made a video, a documentary, the first one that interviewed descendants, the men and their descendants, and got their perspective on what it was like to live under the shadow of the study. And I think this is the right website for seeing that video. It was never approved by CDC for publication. Okay, let's move on. It's my opinion, as I said before, that if you ask Bill what his greatest contribution was, it would be to change the face of public health through workforce development. And he talked about both the Tuskegee study and his interest in workforce development and as a plenary speaker at the APHA keynote address, actually, his best friend Cornel West in Denver in I think it was 2010. And he didn't go into detail at that talk, but he had a major impact on changing the workforce in public health. He established Project Imhotep, the Public Health Sciences Institute at Morehouse College. Both of those programs are pipelined for undergraduates to go into public health. He worked at the Morehouse School of Medicine for a year to establish a Master's of Public Health program, the first such program at a historically Black institution. These programs have supported the development of over 400 public health professionals, not only in epi and biostat, but in environmental health and health education. These activities evolved from a 1970 meeting he attended of the American Statistical Association in Canada. The meeting included a panel on the status of Black Americans. However, there are no Blacks on the panel, and only 4 African Americans were present at the meeting, all of whom had recently graduated in biostatistics. I just want to call them out: Bill Jenkins, Art Jones, Ernest Atah, and Nathaniel White. And all 4 of them made a pact to continue to do graduate work in biostatistics so that they could become scientists looking at African American health issues. He wrote about the anguish they felt when they realized there were less than 5 African Americans with PhDs in either epidemiology or biostatistics. And they all committed to advancing their education and recruiting people into the field. And this editorial that you're looking at was published in 1991 at the beginning of the origination of the Society for Analysis of African American Public Health Issues, another organization that's, what do you call it? It's not part of APHA,
Related organization.
Affiliate of APHA that meets the Saturday before APHA. And thanks to Sandy Hogan for a wonderful meeting on Saturday. After the development of the MPH program at Morehouse, and given his ever creative way of doing things, Bill created a cooperative agreement that established a consortium for other historically Black colleges and universities to develop public health programs. The consortium funded the opportunity for these HBCUs to meet together and plan public health programs throughout the U.S. And that consortium continues to meet today at APHA. I've listed some of them. Oops, sorry. These are the schools that have developed masters in public health or other, and some doctoral programs as a result of support from the consortium that Bill organized and funded. If I skipped one, please forgive me, and if anybody is here from one of them that I skipped, please let me know. But I think there are at least 8 or 9 HBCUs now that have Masters of Public Health as a result of Bill's tenacious work. He also taught many undergraduate students in the Atlanta University Center and in the summer programs, and he always insisted, usually on the first day, that they memorize the definition of epidemiology and expected them to always be on alert to tell him that epidemiology was the study of the distribution and determinants of health status of disease in populations.